Thank you for the opportunity to speak again. I saw you at Red Lake College and wanted to supplement what I said there. Also, I wanted to give a personal anecdote. But first, I wanted to say that I stand here in support of the people who have traveled that great distance and expense to be here. It shows a lot of courage to speak out against industry and what they plan to do. And you know, so far it's fallen on deaf ears, and we're kind of hoping that you are a little more take our concerns into a little more consideration. I'm an attorney. I live in Jefferson County, rural Jefferson County. I have an oil well just across the road from my own property. I own 51. My wife and I own 51% of the mineral rights, and I was told at the time that we bought our land that we'd be able to stop drilling on our land. And that might apply to vertical drilling, but now I'm concerned that horizontal drilling would be allowed to go underneath my land without my consent. And I urge you to look at the definitions in your draft rules to make sure that I retain my rights to my subsurface. So that's why I've been following the fracking rules, especially because I have a well that close to me. But I wanted to say that the people here speaking out against fracking don't do so out of profit motives. Unlike industry, they're in it for the money. But the people here speaking about environmental issues and public health issues, they're concerned about people's health. They're concerned about their property values. So please take that into account also when you rewrite these rules, as I expect you will. But my supplement to the testimony I gave at Red Lake College is about noise and light pollution, specifically light pollution. I have this map here of the night sky of the United States, and I'll show this around to you in just a minute, but there is an area in the Great Plains where there are no big cities, and yet there is an area of lights that is as large as Atlanta. Perhaps not as dense, but yet as large, and that is the Bakken oil fields. Now, I raise this issue for two reasons. One is to show that there are light pollution issues, and if you imagine wells in every one of these lights, you can imagine the noise pollution. But also because it shows the scope and the magnitude of the fracking industry. If they find oil and fracking works in southern Illinois, we're not talking about a few wells. We're talking about something that looks like a large city. And so, again, I'd like to ask you to take that into consideration when you're rewriting the rules. Okay, this is it.
Thank you. Is that it? All right, thank you, sir. Hello, Jessica.
Hello.
Hang on there, Jessica, hang on. Jessica's been at every one of our meetings, so we're coming old friends here.
I'm an enthusiast.
Hang on. George, is that George? Georgia, maybe? Delegars? Oh, okay. Now.
All right, my name is Jessica Fujan. My last name is Fujan. I'm the Illinois organizer for Food and Water Watch. I wanted to talk tonight about volatile organic compounds. So unfortunately, Illinois has given the fracking industry a free license to use open-air pits holding toxic waste. In sections 245.210A11, 245.510, and section 245.830, all of these would allow the oil and gas industry to use open-air pits. Volatile organic compounds in the industry's waste waft off of these pits, and it is believed to be the reason that many people living and breathing near waste pits are experiencing severe health problems. Fracking flowback is the waste fluid that flows up to the surface immediately after fracking. It is a multi-phase fluid, meaning it is a mix of liquid and gas, and it is chock full of sand and other earthen bits. The makeup of the gaseous portion of flowback is not very well characterized. The amounts of the different volatile organic compounds and other hydrocarbon gases in flowback vary by region. So this is something that we won't know about until it's happening to us and causing us unique problems here in Illinois. Of course, many of these gases are harmful, particularly BTEX compounds, which are benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylene. These gases waft off open-air waste pits and into our communities and are unfortunately breathed by the people nearby. The liquid portion of the flowback is a mix of used fracking fluids and so-called formation water or brine that has long been trapped deep underground and which has long been full of numerous harmful metals and other chemicals. Of course, the spent fracking fluid liquid typically contains harmful chemicals as well, though precisely which chemicals are unknown, and for the reasons that have been stated by previous commentators, it is very important that we know these things. Unfortunately, at this point, we don't. These liquid wastes can spill over the liners and contaminate lands and watersheds at drilling sites. So an open air waste pit is an almost guaranteed failure on a number of health accounts. No one understands this threat better than the residents of an area northeast of Denver and Boulder that was recently hit hard by the flooding in September. Weld County, Colorado has nearly 18,000 active fracking wells and is also a main drilling center in a state that is increasingly reliant on hydraulic fracturing for energy production. A search of Colorado oil and gas information systems show that the state recorded nearly 20 spill incidents in September, even before the flooding began. It is still unknown the full effect that the flooding and the spreading of these toxic chemicals from the pits has had in Colorado. This is something that's highly disputed because, of course, the industry would like to say that it has nothing to do with the chemicals that are now strewn all over the surface of Colorado. And this is a problem that is going to require basically the state to fight private companies to take responsibility for toxic waste that was moved by floodwaters. It was brought up in a number of statements in previous hearings that much of the fracking that is slated to begin in Illinois will happen on a 100-year floodplain. This is a serious concern, not just for people who live directly adjacent to a fracking well site, but people who live anywhere within the floodplain who hope to keep BTEX, which is again benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylene, off of their lawns and out of their lungs. A number of the spill incidents that took place in Colorado happened in Weld County and involved hydrocarbons and benzene, and the American Cancer Society has listed both of these as carcinogens. This is not something we want in Illinois. We should avoid these problems and ban the use of waste pits in the state. Doing so would allow us to mitigate the risks associated with environmental contamination due to fracking. However, to remove this risk entirely and protect Illinois' natural resources, which I'm pretty sure is your job, we should consider disallowing all